Hello, hello, and welcome to another ohmTown Daily News Show. It's 9 p.m., and that means it's time for Season 2, Episode 81 of the ohmTown Daily News Show. And tonight's title is I'm having a speech problem. Tonight's title is Everything Causes Cancer in California. So we're going to have 11 articles. We're already set to go. So here's the quick breakdown. We're going to be talking about the right to mine crypto. We're going to be talking about petrol prices and that companies are ripping us off. This is an article about it. The biggest announcements from Epic Games. The state of Unreal, actually, and Epic's hyper-realistic MetaHumans, which is an amazing piece of hardware and software. SEC sues Justin Sun. Pardon me I need to do something. Let's see. Fentanyl operation that stopped 900 pounds from entering the U.S., part of Department of Homeland Security. Scientists sequence Beethovens' genome for clues into his painful past, but I think it's to offer genetic code to make a bunch of Beethovens. Silicon Valley Bank tripled loans to insiders in months before collapse. Journalist plugs in an unknown USB drive and it blows up. California bill could ban the sale of Skittles, hot tamales, and more. And Finland is offering free vacations to people to come and learn how to be happy after it was named the happiest place on earth. Let's get into the show. Something weird is happening. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Hey, look,
I
the
have a new
visualizer.
visualizer today.
Wow. It's amazing. It's pretty cool. So I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. And that right there is the new visualizer for the artificial intelligence that keeps an eye on me. What do you think?
Oh, I'm keeping my eye on you.
Oh, no. Because the other day we talked about how a new robot, a bipedal robot, now has eyes. And so I went out and got that bipedal robot and threw the artificial intelligence into said bipedal robot with new eyes. And now it's literally sitting in the doorway, constantly staring at me. It's a little unsettling, but luckily, the AI can be anywhere, and right now, while still standing in the doorway staring at me, the visualizer is still functional. So it's all getting kind of
Yes.
creepy here.
I needed to talk so I could show it off.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's right. Are you ready to talk about these 11 articles for tonight?
I am. Are you?
No, but let's go. Addressing the right to mine crypto. There is apparently some discussion about this. New York passed its first in the nation crypto mining moratorium last year, and the mining industry was spoiled with zero regulation and oversight. Well, now the tide is turning. After the Biden administration recommended more regulations and Senator Ed Markey introduced a bill to crack down on the industry's massive energy use, the industry seems spooked and retaliating, tripling its spending on Capitol Hill lobbyists. So, you know how there's supposed to be representatives of the people. Well, apparently, unless you have wait, we're only 4 minutes into this. So unless we have a ton of money, lobbying is pretty much relegated to Scrooge McDucks, swimming around backstroke in their pools of gold. Say that again?
I said in their cash, but I guess it would be piles of gold.
Yeah, so some groups are tripling down on Capitol Hill, pushing the right to mine bills in states across the country. These bills, with purported bans on localities enacting zoning and noise ordinance for proof of work cryptocurrency mining operations. This is over at thehill.com. Liz Moran, or Moran, is an opinion contributor. Yeah, did you know that Bitcoin mining facilities actually move either closer to power plants or move into old power plants so that they can get power?
Yes, I think we had an article on here maybe for Tennessee where there was I think a mining operation near a power plant. But before that, I did not know that.
Yeah, so just to be abundantly clear, this is over at thehill.com, but it is a contributor, an opinion contributor article. And so it says here at the very top of the article, the views expressed by contributors are their own and not the view of the Hill, which I think is kind of interesting to make that because, if they're not going to be at least somewhat affiliated with that opinion, not everybody gets that opportunity, right?
That's right. And it seems like, if it is something, they would get behind it. I mean, you see that in old school newspapers, like the editorial board will put out an opinion piece, and it's basically the views of that whole board, from what I understand.
Yeah, really. Well, maybe not in this case, right? The bills with purported bans on localities enacting zoning and noise ordinance for proof of work cryptocurrency mining operations will squash or at least, very least, severely chill communities' rights to govern and protect themselves against for-profit interests. They give big businesses, most crypto mining companies are well capitalized, the quote-unquote right to mine crypto, even over your right to clean water and air, a quiet home, and livable climate. This is a Citizens United kind of thing, because it used to be that businesses were a quasi legal, well, not quasi, it was a legal entity, and it could have citizenship in a country, right? So it could be an entity, but it's not a real human. So it was a quasi citizenship. It was a quasi existence. Well, with Citizens United, it basically became companies and their money have the right to speak, except that a board of directors and a C-suite does not make up the entirety of the company's ideological bent unless the only thing you listen to is the board and the C-suite, and everybody else is a disposable tool, a widget, whatever it might be, a wrench, whatever you want to call them. But you're just a grunt. So if you speak out, pardon me one second. If you speak out, you'll be fired. If you're against whatever it is that the C-suite and the board is doing. So, I kind of agree with this. I don't think that businesses should be doing the same level of policy making as the people, because the government is supposed to be for the people and by the people, representative of the people. It even is referred to as the House of Representatives.
Right. It's not for the corporations or.
Right. But, the people that run the corporations and the boards and the stockholders, they will take profit over individual rights any day. And I cannot count how many people have said that. Largely well-off people would rather have the money than have a conscience or a social drive. They just want the money. Anyway, so this article goes into greater detail. According to the 2021 paper from the National Bureau of Economic Research, 90% of all Bitcoin mined goes only to the top 10% of miners, which is pretty typical because as time has gone on, You can't just stumble across a Bitcoin segment at all. You have to be part of a consortium now and have massive computing power. Anyway, about 50 miners apparently get 90% of all Bitcoin.
I mean, that's kind of an astounding statistic.
Well, that's why so much volatility exists, because there's few people moving a ton of Bitcoin. And this is just one Bitcoin, by the way, or one cryptocurrency. There were somewhere around 10,000 different cryptocurrencies in existence. Only 3,000 currently exist with any liquidity. All the rest are basically considered dead. But still, 3,000. And of those, there's only about 4 that anybody would recognize, like Ethereum and Bitcoin, Dogecoin. And there's 4 categories of cryptocurrencies, ending with stablecoin, which is a joke. At any rate, it says, with thousands of machines running all at once, cryptocurrency mining isn't just a loud annoyance, which neighbors of mining facility in Limestone, Tennessee describe as sounding like a jet engine idling on a nearby tarmac. Neighbors of a cryptocurrency mining facility in Cherokee County, North Carolina, describe the noise as like living on top of Niagara Falls. And near Niagara Falls itself, locals complain that the local cryptocurrency mining operation literally drowned out the sound of the falls. And there they won a zoning ordinance, the kind of community self-protection that could be illegal under a state's right to mine law. Let me see if I can scan real quick for something. Nope. I wonder how fast this will get very much adopted in one state. Which state do you think will totally lean into this?
Well, I want to say Wyoming.
Huh? Look at that. The artificial intelligence can read minds. So, yeah, do you really think that companies should have the right to mine, or should people be able to say, no, we don't want that around us?
Yeah, I guess I feel like companies shouldn't have the right to do anything that its citizens don't want them to do in their community. I don't mean like exist, but um, I think this is a problem from the get-go because where are the citizens' interests in this?
Yeah, and what's really interesting about this is the value of the cryptocurrency is pegged to actual production, something real, US dollars. It inherently has no value unless you barter for something or somebody is willing to accept it. The reason why it's at $28,000 is speculation, not real value. So the US dollar is pegged to our GDP. Cryptocurrency is pegged to the US dollar via the proxy GDP. So when everybody gets spooked, they start buying up cryptocurrency. Yeah, I don't think that's how it works. But they start trading it higher and higher. And then whoever flinches is the one that's going to lose the most when the cryptocurrency goes back down. I'm eating a little crow because at the beginning of my streaming career, I said that crypto or Bitcoin won't hit $25,000 again for almost a decade. But guess what? What happened was shenanigans in the real world had people go, oh, let's go buy crypto. But it's still below a lot of thresholds. There are trading platforms out there that bought Bitcoin on average for $30,000. There's still $3,000 per Bitcoin in the hole. Wait for that margin call, because I'm sure that they're leveraging past where they are with their purchase. So I guess we'll see. But anyway, Liz Moran over at, as an opinion contributor that had their article posted at The Hill addressing the right to mine crypto. There's a lot more over there, so I encourage you to head on over there. But before you do that, you're going to want the article. And so I throw the article into the VOD, the chat. It'll be part of the show notes. Pardon me one second. And you'll be able to go over to those URLs when it gets posted over on YouTube, when it gets posted as a podcast. Okay, so let's move on to the next article, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. I'm a little surprised that New York was the first to pass this. On the other hand, there's a lot of companies, of course, in New York State. I might have thought a state like Delaware, for example, would have passed it because they're very corporation friendly.
Yeah, so it says, let's see, where is it? Let's see. For example, in Paducah, Kentucky, Blockware Mining received $12.7 million in transmission upgrades, raising regular utility customer bills to help pay for the upgrades. In Washington, a cryptocurrency mining operation that went bankrupt in 2018 left locals to cover $700,000 in unpaid utility bills. Well, why is that? If the company went bankrupt, why does the public have to?
Well, and why does the public have to fund the upgrades for the other mining company? That's astounding.
Yeah. Well, private profit. It's just weird, you know. In Missouri, House Bill 764, currently making its way through the state legislature, would increase electricity use in a coal-dominated grid, slowing the state's transition to clean energy. And then Montana has another, and on, you know. It's short-term gain and public financial burden and private profit. Okay. We went backwards a little bit there. The next article is petrol prices should have dropped by now, but companies are ripping us off. This might be another opinion piece. It's over at vice.com. Alexandra Bliznik, or how do you pronounce that last name? Bliznik? Maybe it's Bliznik. Like most of life's problems, capitalism is to blame. Now, I just want to pump the brakes here. I don't think capitalism is to blame. Unethical capitalism is to blame. There is a lot of money floating around because the economy has been infused again and again because of some for-profit, greedy, profiteering collapse. Or now what's happening is there's so much money on the table that they're jacking prices up at the producer price index level. Pardon me one second. And sorry, one second. Oh, yeah, that doesn't matter. Sorry, context-wise, I'm interacting with the AI. So it isn't capitalism that's the problem. It's the unethical behavior. And so they take risks, it collapses, the public bails them out. One way or another, there's a massive infusion of money. 2008, 2015, here after the pandemic, during the pandemic, there was massive infusion. Oh, and 2001, there was a massive injection of capital because of 9/11. In the right before the pandemic, there was a massive injection again with the Trump administration. Obama had to inject massive capital because of the crap that happened from the previous administration and then the 2008 collapse. But it's greed. It isn't capitalism. Capitalism would be great if not for the fact that ethics is the smallest friggin' chapter of every single domain that exists. And the one where it isn't the smallest, which is law, people think that lawyers should be, there's a famous joke, about what is it? There's a bunch of them. So what do you call a busload of attorneys at the bottom of the ocean? And somebody says a good start. And then there's another one where it was a criminal, like on a murder trial or something like that, said kill all the lawyers or get rid of all the lawyers or something like that. But it's the ethics that matters, not capitalism itself. So my problem here is that line right there. Capitalism is not to blame. Capitalism is a great motivator so that you can better your life later on. You work hard.
Unfettered capitalism be to blame? There's still people behind it, but I just mean kind of like capitalism taken to the extreme.
Yeah, I definitely think that. Yeah, unmetered, unethical. It's just unethical. So, let's see. The global crude price has finally dropped. So why is petrol still so expensive? And this is about in Australia, but it's high in the UK, in Europe, in the United States. Everybody blames the government, but really, when you look at the amount that each state in the United States actually takes, it eclipses the federal government's draw in taxes. And then you go and look at the roads in various places and go, well, if the state's taking all of this money, why isn't it being put into the roads and put into the education system and bettering the local and state infrastructure? Well, you're going to have to look at your state for that. But the money that's supposed to be, that comes from
they're too focused on right to mine instead of those things.
Yeah. So you're going to have to look at your own state. And nobody's looking at that. They're blaming the federal government as if it's the federal government that's raising the prices. No, that's not what's happening. It's look at the producer price index. Look at who it is that's setting the baseline price. It's everywhere though. Greed is everywhere because since Reagan, greed is good. And it's not. It's psychotic. It's sociopathic. It's abusive. Greed beyond producing a responsible level of return on your investment it's antisocial. It isn't good. It's definitely not good for society. Anyway, in early 2022, the price of crude oil shot up to a 7-year high amid fears of Russia's oil production could stop because of its invasion of Ukraine. This is specific to Australia again. So in the States, it's a little bit different. We're largely oil independent if we wanted to, but it's better to use resources from those who are selling it than use domestic resources, because when domestic dries up, guess who has strategic and tactical advantage over the infrastructure of the United States? Everybody who's selling to us, because we don't have our own domestic production. So we have a strategic reserve that we fill domestically and from overseas purchases, and we pump it into the public system and refill it because oil degrades over time. Russia has the ability to impact all of Europe, Africa, Australia, the region. Let's just say the region. But Russia can't impact the United States except by turning off the spigot for everybody else. That way everybody else has to lean on the Middle East. Anyway, Says 13 months after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the crude oil price has recovered and dropped to its December 2021 level. Back then, a liter of unleaded in Australia would set you back no more than $1.50 at the, and this is a liter. So here in the States, what's the conversion? I think 4 liters to a gallon. So today it's still around $1.80. So again, it's Australian.
A liter is about a quarter of a gallon. So yeah, 4 liters to a gallon, right?
Yeah. So the big story behind this phenomenon called rockets and feathers pricing, according to University of Melbourne economics professor David Byrne. When wholesale prices go up, prices at the Bowser rise like rockets. When the wholesale price goes down, they fall like feathers. Yep, and that is basically an ideology in business that so it's price elasticity of demand. So if you keep on charging people more, they're going to become familiar with that price, and you can sit there and measure how much of a loss in customer consumption is taking place. So if they keep on purchasing and you keep raising the rates and you keep raising the prices and they keep purchasing, you raise the price again, they keep on purchasing. You have not hit their bulk rate. They're not going to not purchase. So at some point they slow down. So you start lowering your price a little bit. And by the time you get to a certain level, whatever it might be, the public will start purchasing again because their elasticity, or the elasticity of demand, has still hit the rate at which they're willing to purchase. So they'll go back out and purchase. And that's how you end up with $5, $6, $7 per gallon here in the States.
So did you know, I did not know the term Bowser. In mainly
hose.
Australia, New Zealand, that's a fuel metering or delivery pump at a filling station. I mean, it makes sense from the context, but I didn't know the term.
Yeah, I actually remember when I said it. So yeah, I've never heard of the term rockets and feathers pricing, but that might be idiomatic as well. I don't know about that one. But that happens everywhere. And it's usually in cases where you have to have it. You know, if you don't have toilet paper, you're going to go out and buy it. And it doesn't matter if it's $10, $20, $30, $40 a roll, you're going to go out and get toilet paper, or paper towels, or anything that is a consumable, entirely a consumable, where you use it day in, day out. Gas is the same thing. Well, you can protest and stay home for days, but at some point, you're going to get hungry and need to go to the store. And if your store is not within walking distance, you're going to be buying gas. So they go into greater detail in this article, but it really comes down to the fact that these corporations, these producers of materials that are required for society to move from left to right, or wipe their butt or their face, or pick up a spill, or whatever it might be, they see money on the table still. And they've been trained, indoctrinated, brainwashed into thinking that you have to take every single penny off that table. And there is research out there, and if you do a search for it, you'll find it, that basically says the moment that an MBA takes the helm of a business, they will suppress wages and increase the profit margin, but not the actual profit. They'll lower the wages so that there is an increase in the bottom line, make people work harder, and deliver themselves a bonus, and not increase quality, not increase the customer base, literally punish the workforce and produce a lower quality product just so that the stockholders, the C-suite, and the board can make more money. it's, again, it goes back to my mantra. It is sociopathic. It's not capitalism that's a problem. It's sociopathic capitalism. Did you want to add anything to this?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. So the next article is big announcements from Epic Games' State of Unreal 2023 Keynote. Epic Games just wrapped up its State of Unreal 2023 Keynote, where it showed off new enhancements coming to Unreal Engine 5.2, as if 5 wasn't amazing enough. 5.2 has a stunning new MetaHuman technology, a big push to unify its disparate assets marketplaces, and Fortnite's long-awaited Unreal Editor tools, which is actually available through the Unreal Engine or Unreal Store launcher. I don't know what they call that thing. Anyway, you can download the Epic Store app launcher, and you can download Unreal Engine and Fortnite's Unreal Editor tools. It's kind of interesting. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, then you can also get free games through that app launcher. Anyway, the day's announcements could have a major impact on games we play in the future. So let's go over to The Verge and Jay Peters, who put this article together, because they're going to talk about some of these biggest announcements. So Epic showed off a stunning foliage-filled Unreal Engine 5.2 demo. This is not what I want to talk about, actually. The next article is what I want to talk about, but this will give you a little hint right here. Soon you'll be able to animate MetaHumans using an iPhone. So Epic showed off a jaw-dropping demo of MetaHuman animation captured with just an iPhone. The tool is set to launch this summer. I might actually become a VTuber using MetaHuman if I can, because this tool is spectacular. Hopefully in the next article there's a video. I don't have a video here that I know of, but anyway. Epic finally showed off Fortnite's Unreal Editor. This should be fun as well. Now you'll be able to build levels in Unreal Editor for Fortnite, which it'll give creators a bunch of new tools to create custom Fortnite maps and experiences. And in the demo, the company showed off some bright Fortnite characters in a gritty, distinctly non-Fortnite-y world, because a lot of the Fortnite-y stuff is comical. I don't know how to describe it any other way. It isn't like this. It isn't hyper realistic. But if you can play Fortnite in a hyper realistic environment like this, please attach it to VR, because I will get into Fortnite if I can play it in a VR environment with a hyper realistic environment to boot. I would be all over Fortnite like that. Anyway, Fortnite's new Creator Economy 2.0 gives 40% of Fortnite's net revenues back to the creators. So maybe if you are kind of a world builder, map builder kind of a person, you could actually sell back into the Fortnite space and make 40% of it. Not bad, considering, people don't like it when I say this, but if you 100% of zero sales to an app market that doesn't exist, guess what? It's zero money. All that effort, and you're sharing it with nobody, or you're sharing it with a friend, which is great, but 40% of 1,000 people getting something for $10 is quite a lot of money there, folks. So I don't know how much it's going to cost. I don't know how much people are going to charge for a map, but might be interesting to go there. So let's check that out. We'll check that out in the future. Epic is merging its asset marketplaces under one brand called Fab, which but I mean, okay. And later this year, Unreal Engine Marketplace, Quixel Bridge, ArtStation Marketplace, and Sketchfab will all be merged into one marketplace called Fab. You can actually check it out a bit sooner than that, though, as an alpha plugin for the Unreal Editor in Fortnite is going to kind of introduce you to it. So Pretty awesome, but that's the one right there. MetaHumans is spectacular.
Okay, so I had to look up how many Fortnite users there were, which was registered. There's about 390 million, at least as a couple of years ago. So even if, say, 1% of the users bought some of these things, I mean, that is a lot of dollars on the table, even if they're inexpensive.
Yep. And you can instantly become a millionaire if your map is spectacular. But this is what I wanted to talk about. Late Night Geeks. There's going to be a whole bunch of articles after this one, but about other stuff. But this is the one that actually drew me into, even though these articles were provided to me, I locked in on these. I just love this. Epic's hyper-realistic metahumans can soon be animated using an iPhone. And I hope. Otherwise, I'm going to do the first thing that I've ever done, which is tomorrow's show is going to draw special attention to the MetaHumans demonstration. If it isn't in this link over here on The Verge. Epic will soon let you animate metahumans. The company first launched the MetaHuman creator tools in 2021 as a way to streamline the process of making more realistic human characters. I actually have an ambition to create hyper-realistic actors so that anybody can be anyone. Obviously, if you're imitating a human, a famous human, you would have to have the rights to do so, which you're never going to get granted. A business might be able to get limited access to somebody's, likeness, and then animate it using metahumans. But you could create a hyper-realistic human and then animate it in metahumans in real time, like me. I could be a metahuman, and I don't actually look like this. But at this distance, this resolution, you would never be able to tell the difference. And I can even mask my voice. So am I using my real voice? Maybe not. But if you can't tell the difference, doesn't matter. So let's go over. Oh, good. They do have a video. So this is over at The Verge. This isn't where I saw this announcement. I actually watched these get dropped into YouTube in real time. Andrew Webster is the author of this over at The Verge. So definitely follow the link that I've already thrown into chat and check it out. But I'm going to play this video. And if I get hit over on YouTube, then I'll deal with it. But hopefully y'all can hear this.
I needed to capture whether I'm acting scared or angry, but also subtle emotions. But sometimes all I need is a look.
Okay. So the way that this actually works is that there is a headset that's put on the voice actor and character actor. And as they move, as they look around, as they vocalize, all of that is being grabbed by MetaHuman. And watch this one.
Sign perf cut, take 13.
I see through your darkness now. I see through your lies. I will show them how to see as I do. I will not appease your gods.
destroy them.
So she's wearing a helmet, and on that helmet is a little armature that is holding a phone. The phone is using a special MetaHuman app, which is cascading the LiDAR scanner across her face. So it knows where she's looking. It knows where her lips, her nose, her eyebrows, her musculature on her face. Everything that makes up a character's expression is being scanned and then duplicated inside MetaHuman. So this is going to be...
I have to say, one of our animal residents of ohmTown was very convinced and looked frightened when that was playing, which had not occurred previously.
Yeah, so this is amazing technology, and I'm absolutely in awe of this. I just love everything about this. So here's to the next generation of VTuber. It's going to be ultra realistic. And as time goes on, it'll just get more and more realistic, more and more interactive. You can actually use motion cap suits right now, but it's going to be nothing compared to this. So, okay, so let's move on. I know that we're going to be running late tonight, so let's see if I can play catch up a little bit. This next article is over in the Late Night Geeks channel. It's because of the source. It's from The Verge for a particular topic. So SEC sues Justin Sun for his crypto schemes, along with Lindsay Lohan, Jake Paul, and Soulja Boy. When the authors of this wrote about Tron founder Justin Sun and possible illegal activities within his cryptocurrency empire last year, the Securities and Exchange Commission declined to comment, said one employee who spoke to The Verge, if he breaks so many laws at such a rapid pace, it'd be impossible for anyone to catch up to him. Today, the SEC announced civil charges against Sun and 8 celebrities, including Lindsay Lohan, Jake Paul, and Soulja Boy. If it comes out that they knew that this was basically what they're calling market manipulation, pump and dump, and fraudulent claims of potential success and return on investment and whatnot, everybody is going to be paying some serious money. Most people probably won't go to jail, though. Because it'll be a financial thing, and all you have to do is pay. Unless you pissed off some ultra rich people, you're not going to jail. But the moment you piss off ultra rich people, you end up going to jail. So the feds claim Sun engaged in selling unregistered securities and market manipulation and lied about paying celebrities for crypto endorsements. So this is over at The Verge by Emma Roth. And there isn't much more that can really be spoken of this. It says, in addition to Lohan, Paul, Soulja Boy, the SEC also charged Austin Mahone, Michelle Mason, Lil Yachty, Neo, and Akon. The SEC says the involved celebrities, except for Mahone and Soulja Boy, have settled the charges, which total over $400,000, without admitting or denying the SEC findings. I don't know how that works, but most people don't have the ability to go, okay, I'll settle, but I'm not going to admit that I did anything wrong. Anyway, it says, thus the public was misled into believing that these celebrities had unbiased interest in TRX and BTT and were not merely paid spokespersons. So they were actually paid. And so you can't say that you're not paid. You actually have to declare nowadays, you have to declare that you were a paid endorsee of the material that you're presenting. Anyway, according to the SEC, Sun held unregistered bounty programs that would ask users to promote BTT and TRX on social media, as well as encourage users to recruit others to its Discord and Telegram channels. So basically, fear of missing out and wanting to rub shoulders with famous people. Others did whatever they had to do to buy into it, probably ultimately losing money, considering it's the crypto sector. Yeah. So all of these celebrities, they probably have enough money where they could settle and be immune to prosecution in the future. But the people who followed this, trying to, be part of it, and FOMO, fear of missing out, they're the ones that are going to be paying the price. You just go ahead and say whatever you want to say if there's something you want to say.
It's just an odd situation. I can't think of anything really like it, except for maybe like the Martha Stewart. I know it's not the same issue, but you don't always see like a group of celebrities tied up in some sort of financial scheme. So it stands out in that regard.
Yeah, well, they knew a little bit of people and got them to act on their behalf in exchange for compensation, it seems, without disclosing that it wasn't an unbiased opinion. This next article is over in the Daily News Show. New fentanyl targeting operation already has stopped 900 pounds of fentanyl from entering the U.S., according to the DHS. New fentanyl targeting operation already stopped 900 pounds. That's a lot. Luke Barr, by the way, is the author of this article over at ABC News. This video doesn't have anything to do with it. Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has been in the hot seat over border crossings. There have been a lot of talk about getting them ousted, but looks like they're at least stopping some activities. There's been a whole lot of people that are getting away across the border and whatnot, but for crying out loud, I don't think a border wall would ever solve that. They'd go around or climb over, or in several of the videos that I saw, squeeze right between.
So a dose of 2 to 3 milligrams of fentanyl can be deadly.
I'm glad that you
And
looked it up.
I had to, because like I'm seeing other articles where they took down like 100 grams of fentanyl, and that was a really big deal. This is 900 pounds.
Yeah. 700 pounds of meth and 100 pounds of cocaine as well, through last Sunday. And they started on March 13th. Operation Blue Lotus.
So it's not even a long period of time.
Nope. Operation Blue Lotus, a targeted operation that involves more stops and use of advanced technology along the border, started on March 13th. The operation has led to 18 seizures, 16 federal arrests, and 2 state arrests, according to DHS. And that's prevented 900 pounds of fentanyl. That's the one that they're really hot about stopping. Now, you're talking about micrograms, right? So how many micrograms are in 900 pounds?
I think it was like a couple milligrams would be enough to be deadly. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some pictures. If you do a search for how much fentanyl is deadly, you'll see a picture of a tiny little vial, and in it is what looks like a piece of salt, like a single little grain of salt, and that's enough to kill a human being. It's extremely dangerous.
Has also been in the news as recently as yesterday, because they're now reporting on the threat of fentanyl being mixed with xylazine or tranq. It's even more deadly. So that's a growing issue.
Yep. So that's all that I'll say about this. Let's just move on. The next article is in in Smash or Trash. That's a channel that's supposed to be about music. Is it a smash or is it trash? And you get to vote. This is something that I had been licensed to stream music, but I wasn't allowed to because I couldn't do it here on Twitch and I couldn't do it over on YouTube because there's a certain type of license that you need, called a synchronization license. Now, I had the license that allowed me to do it on my own site here on ohmTown, but I couldn't do it on Twitch or YouTube, and I still can't to this day. At any rate, I would love to be able to play music here on Twitch and allow real-time voting, hanging out, and talking about it, critiquing it, criticizing it, what to our heart's content music. But I'm just still not allowed to. So we'll talk about the news. And in this case, it's scientists sequence Beethoven's genome for clues into his painful past. Scientists have sequenced the genome of Ludwig von Beethoven, or Beethoven, from 2-century-old locks of hair. They found some clues in the DNA about the ailments that plagued him in life. This is an NPR article by Ari Daniel from All Things Considered. And I'm going to propose a conspiracy theory and something that maybe we can get ChatGPT to write a book where people are selling Beethoven's genetics so that you could do genetic modification of your kid's genome so that you can have all of the benefit of Beethoven, but none of the negative side of. What do you think? Do you think that's what's actually happening? That there's some ultra rich billionaire fever dream is going to be creating, I don't know, Beethoven X genetics?
I think anything is possible. I mean, when you read about wealthy families trying to cryogenically preserve themselves, I think this is not too far removed from that.
So now scientists have done one better. They've sequenced Beethoven's genome. The findings published in the journal Current Biology offer clues about the health challenges that shaped him as a person and the musician he became to be. Beethoven famously suffered from progressive hearing loss, which made social interactions a source of increasing anxiety and ended his career as a performing musician by his mid-40s. And he also struggled with chronic gastrointestinal problems and liver disease, which only compounded his misery. So he was a cranky guy by the time he died. Tristan Begg, a biological anthropology PhD student at the University of Cambridge and one of the researchers involved in the genetic sequencing project. When he was a kid, Begg listened to all kinds of music: AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Mozart, Prokofiev? How do you pronounce that? Prokofiev?
I think that's it.
I don't think I've heard that. Anyway, loved old ragtime blues, Blind Blake, Mississippi John Hurt. This person sounds like somebody that I'd like to buy a beer. But
Prokofiev was around late 1800s through mid 1900s, Russian composer.
Gotcha. Maybe I've heard the name in the music before, but I don't recall it now. I, like Beethoven, I'm getting older, and I guess my hearing's going out, and my memory is certainly going out. But then came Christmas Day of 2007 when Begg was 17 years old. One of his presents that holiday was a record player, and he dropped the needle on Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, and his world would never be the same. They go into greater detail, and it's considerable, so they became a researcher, it seems, and worked towards ending up doing a genome sequence of Beethoven's hair. Ta-da! Tristan Begg even played piano at Jane Austen's house in 2014, apparently. That's what that picture is. 17 years old. I wish I knew.
The
at 17.
researcher is 17?
No.
Oh.
When they were 17.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Now I don't know how old they are. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say. Well, they were 17 years old in 2007. So they were 24 in 2014. So they're 32 now. And sequencing Beethoven's genome. What did you do today? I got out of bed.
I got out of bed today. I turned on my on switch for my AI.
Yeah, there you go. Let's move on to the next article before I get depressed. Silicon Valley Bank tripled loans to insiders in months before its collapse. This is an ongoing thing as people tear down the various layers of onion that is Silicon Valley Bank. Loans to officers, directors, principal shareholders, and related interests jumped from $66 million in the third quarter of 2022 to $219 million in the fourth quarter, according to data on insider loans that banks are required to report to the federal government. They had already been under investigation. It was something that I even spoke about in previous shows, and I predicted was happening because there wasn't a risk officer in place anymore. I'm surprised that the one that did come into the office for the last 4 months of SVB's existence didn't spontaneously combust and is probably permanently seeing a therapist at this point. The jump in loans.
Seen a therapist before the collapse.
Yeah. So what I had just said was that they were already under investigation, but they received several major citations requiring them to take steps. But by the time they would have had to act, the pinch was on. The run was underway. Major depositors were pulling out billions. Honestly, somebody had to have been told, hey, this is a high risk bank now. Because it seems really odd that a perfect storm of activity took place where they couldn't sell fast enough without harming their reputation. They had zero liquidity. They had to sell assets below their value, below what they were actually worth, but still worth something so that they could get some liquidity, but it still wasn't enough that they had to ask depositors, hey, can you deposit some money back? Then they were told no. But the bank wasn't going to collapse. Depositors were still being protected, are still going to be protected, but the bank leadership and investors, which is different than depositors, they're going to lose their money. They're going to get their job somewhere else. They're going to go to another bank. That's the ridiculous part about it. If I did something this abusive in any institution where I've worked, if I ever did this with anybody that I consulted with, I would never, ever work in any industry again having to do with financial responsibility, fiduciary duty. But all of these people are going to end up either, again, rolling around in their pool of gold bullion like Scrooge McDuck, or at least living peacefully on their island.
I've got the DuckTales song stuck in my head, but I won't say it for fear of a copyright strike.
DMCA. That's right. Julia Shapiro over at thehill.com put this article together. And they're the ones that are reporting that it's actually Bloomberg, but The Hill is reporting what Bloomberg wrote. The jump in loans to bank insiders came as the Federal Reserve noticed problems with how Silicon Valley Bank was tracking interest rate hikes or risks, or how exposed the bank was to changes in interest rates. Well, they were supposed to do 8 quarters worth of future risk assessment. It was to check to see how vulnerable they were to their investment processes. They failed to do it. There wasn't even a risk officer for a year. So naturally, it imploded. There should have been somebody put in that position immediately when somebody bowed out, and they didn't quit. They just moved laterally somewhere else. So who was doing the risk management in that organization? That should rise to criminal.
Well, it very well could. And that doesn't, it makes you wonder whether that was company directed. I mean, it looks like the company was pushing the person to the side, which is, of course, a whole nother layer of problems.
Yeah, so why did that take place? I don't have any information on that yet. I haven't actually done a deep enough dive into it, but suffice it to say that interest rates are continuing to go up. So the liquidity of SVB, even if it does have some solid assets, they're still declining in value because anything that's still outstanding still has to be liquidated so that you can recover some cash, which can be transferred, unless whatever deal at auction allows the purchaser of the auctioned items to reset that baseline from 0 to wherever it is now. I can't even remember where it's at. Maybe 4.25 basis points, I think, is the floor right now. I'm not quite sure. It used to be 0. So, and that's where they purchased bonds at, 0. Okay, so let's move on to the next article. A journalist plugs in an unknown USB drive that was mailed to them and it exploded in their face. As a general rule, you don't do that. But sometimes, a journalist has to do what a journalist has to do. They journalize. So it's no secret that USB flash drives are small and unremarkable as they are, can be turned into agents of chaos. There's actually several. Yeah, it's 4.75 to 5 now. Okay, so I was close. And over the years, the author has seen them used to infiltrate Iranian nuclear facility. This one is really interesting because the malware there was very, very complex that exploited something like 11 zero-day flaws in infrastructure that only a state actor could know. I had done some research in this and thought I had come up with a solution. But it didn't matter because nobody does what they're doing now. Anyway, infect critical control systems and power plants. This is from that same 0-day flaw that had to do with command and control infrastructure. Morph into programmable, undetectable attack platforms, destroy attached computers with a surprise 220 volt. This is what do they call it? Killer or something right there. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, although these are just a few examples, they should be enough to preclude one from inserting a mysterious USB drive into your computer. Yeah, just don't do it. Anyway, explosives replace malware as the scariest thing a USB stick may hide. Sharon Harding over at arstechnica.com put this article together. Let's see. According to police official Xavier Chango, the flash drive that went off had a 5-volt explosive charge and is thought to have been RDX. So they plugged it in, the USB port activated the detonator, and then RDX blew up. So also known as T4, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, militaries, including the U.S., use RDX, which can be used alone as a base charge for detonators or mixed with other explosives, such as TNT. Chango said it comes in capsules measuring about 1 centimeter, but only half of it was activated in the drive that Artieta plugged in, which likely saved him some harm. Pretty interesting. So it was a targeted attack, and somebody had to have some knowledge of explosives and electronics.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's never good that there are explosives, but toward a journalist, that's a whole nother layer of concern.
Yeah, definitely. In a statement cited by BBC, the Ecuadorian government said any attempt to intimidate journalism and freedom of expression is a loathsome action that should be punished with all the rigor of justice. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, well, again, sociopathy. Okay. So let's move on. The next article is a California bill could ban the sale of Skittles, hot tamales, and more, but I think it's the candy, not the food.
When I read it, I thought it was the food, and I'm like, what's the connection between those?
And this is what led us to the title, or led me to the title, since I'm the one that makes the titles around here. Everything causes cancer in California. You can be in any state in the United States. Just go to Home Depot or Lowe's online, and you will see that there's a material data sheet for wood. And it'll say that California has found that it is a cancer-causing agent.
I mean, heck, you can buy about anything at your house and look on the label, and it'll say that.
Yep.
In recent years.
So a proposed California bill could ban the sale of Skittles, hot tamales, candy. I'm glad that they closed that there. That question, I was like, wow. And just like every title, there's always, when you drill down into the article, it defines it a little bit more. Double bubble twist gum and other food items containing chemicals that the legislation supporters say are toxic and dangerous. And the one that's really come out as of late is titanium dioxide. That's the stuff that makes things white. Red dye number 3, potassium bromate, brominated vegetable oil, and propylparaben. These chemicals, there was apparently a massive accident here in ohmTown. These chemicals can cause significant health problems like increased risk of cancer. There you go. Damage to the immune system and behavioral issues in children, according to Gabriel's office in a news release. So, you know what's really interesting, though, is there is definitive research showing those microplastics, like I said, that I believed would show that microplastics are entering the system just by flaking off of your everyday plastic items. And nothing's being done about that other than people looking at it, I guess. But this apparently is significant enough to actually ban it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a problem as well, but aren't the microplastics more prevalent than, for instance, Skittles?
Yeah, I don't know. Not everybody eats Skittles, but there are like millions of little plastic containers all over the place. And it's penetrating into, you can actually see it in your body. It's pretty wild. But everything, you're going to have to go, you have to give up everything, folks. Just give up everything. You basically have to put on a grass skirt and just go out into the bush, and live an au naturel life, because everything seems to want to end you. It's almost like the entire planet is Australia.
Well, and plastics are so prevalent that you don't even realize everything around you is plastic, because we were having a discussion in ohmTown about the danger of microplastics while drinking out of a plastic drinking container and not even recognizing that. I mean, the irony was not lost.
I mean, we recognized that it was a plastic bottle, and we're sitting there going, what do? You have to swap it out for a glass bottle. Okay, well, look at the lid of that glass bottle. Oh, it's a plastic cap with a plastic seal. It just never ends. Okay, so let's move on to the next article. I'm going to end up talking more about those microplastic things as time permits, but not right now. Anyway, California bill could ban the sale of Skittles, hot tamales, the candy, and more. Imam Palm and Jeremiah Martinez over at The Hill put this article together. It's introduced by Assembly members Jesse Gabriel and Buffy Wicks. AB 418 proposes that California stop manufacturing, selling, or distributing foods that contain red dye number 3, titanium dioxide, potassium bromate, brominated vegetable oil, or propylparaben. These chemicals can cause significant health problems like increased risk of cancer, damage to the immune system, and behavioral issues in children. I think it's more prevalent that it's parenting skills that have behavior issues in children. Naturally, some have behavioral issues through nature, but anyway, for example, according to Label Insights, titanium dioxide can be found in cupcakes, trail mix, ice cream. Propylparaben can be found in caramel chocolate. There was actually lead found in chocolate. What was that other thing? There was something else found in chocolate. So chocolate is bad for you.
That's right. I can't remember what the other thing was, though.
We even did an article or a show about it.
Now we did.
Anyway, we'll end up talking about all of this again. So instead, these chemicals have entered the nation's food supply through a loophole in federal law known as generally recognized as safe that was intended to apply to common household ingredients like vinegar. So as long as you get enough people to generally recognize them as safe, we know history is just rife with companies and people that have touted the benefits of things that someone might say are generally recognized as safe, but it's because they don't know anything about it until people do fundamental research and fix that problem, realizing that it is not recognized as safe. Okay, let's hustle on to the next article. I'm going to ditch that and let's go there. Finland is offering free vacations for people to come and learn how to be happy after being named the happiest country in the world. I will leave ohmTown here tonight and move to Finland. I think it's difficult to become a citizen of Finland. I think it's kind of like Switzerland. Finland has been named the happiest country in the world for the 6th year running. It's now offering 10 people a free trip to take part in a masterclass of happiness. Visit Finland's masterclass is scheduled to take place over 4 days in mid-June. Is that all that I need? Finland has been named the happiest country in the world for the 6th year running. The Nordic
and you're right,
country.
it is tough to become a citizen. If you've resided there permanently for 5 years without interruption over the age of 18, it's possible.
Right. The Nordic country topped the rankings with a score that was significantly ahead of all other countries, according to the World Happiness Report in 2023. So Beatrice Nolan over at businessinsider.com put this article together. This won me over right now. Okay, see ya. I'm leaving ohmTown. Bye-bye.
I like the picture.
The AI isn't even stopping me. Apparently the AI is like,
I'm
okay,
going
see
to
ya.
Finland as well.
Whoa. No. That's another ticket. I have to put your USB drive on that seat right next to me. Finland has been named the happiest country in the world for the 6th year running. I guess happiest country, because the happiest place on earth is Disney World, right?
That's right.
Probably not right now. They're not getting any other tax benefits from what I understand. DeSantis. The Nordic country topped the World Happiness Report 2023, which was published this week. And if you follow the link through ohmTown over to Business Insider, or you just go to Business Insider and search for Finland, you'll find a link to the World Happiness Report. It's a little hard to actually link to it because they use a redirect or something. I don't know what it is. It's really wild. URLdefense.com. They redirect that. I don't know. Anyway, after repeated success in the area, Visit Finland is now offering 10 people the chance to come to the country and learn how to be happy like the Finnish. A masterclass of happiness scheduled to take place over 4 years in June at the Kuru Luxury Retreat in Finland's Lake District.
It's only 4 days, not 4 years.
Did I say 4 years?
You
No.
did.
No. They've won this for 6 years straight, and they've only, but the master class of happiness is over 4 days in June. Look at this. I'm getting read the riot act by the AI now at the end of the show. I almost kept it within an hour. Applications are now open until April 2nd, with hopefuls asked to make a reel or TikTok showing why they may secretly be a Finn. I suppose it's not the guy from Star Wars.
No,
But
I'm thinking it's a different one.
from Finland, right? Okay. As part of their application, the participants will also be filmed during the visit with the material used for Visit Finland's advertising, according to the website. So I guess it's not going to be me because I'm kind of curmudgeonly when I'm on vacation. I just want to enjoy the vacation, and being stalked by camera people and photographers would probably be a little distracting if I want to go to a nude beach in Finland. Sir, this isn't a nude beach. Look, I'm trying to be happy here.
And I'm not sure sitting in a 4-day conference about happiness is necessarily where it's at. But
I don't know,
that's
maybe
just
they'll
me.
stick you in a sweat lodge or just allow you to just hang out at the resort. Yeah, I don't know. My happiness is really predicated on not having to do anything, just kind of hanging out, enjoying the food, the music, the people, not
Yes,
running
I
around
get
for
the
4 days.
feeling this is extra scheduled.
You think this is going to be scripted from like day 0 to...
Yes. At 3:15, you get a snack of a pretzel stick or whatever. I don't know. I have no idea.
So the person, the senior director, Heli Jimenez, I guess, director at the governmental organization Business Finland, said in a press release that Finland's national happiness, quote, stems from a close relationship with nature and our down-to-earth lifestyle. It's not some mystical state. It is a skill that can be learned, she said. I don't know. I have a different theory, but I won't say it during this show. It's a sociological force that I will probably predict is the real reason why people are happy in Finland. And I'd have to, I'll before I turn off the filter, I will, I'll do some due diligence so that I can go, yeah, okay, I'm right. I think I'm right, but we'll see. In fact, as soon as I end the show, I'll probably go verify it because I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth. This is how the sausage is made, folks. At any rate, I am Mayor Watt. That up there is the visualizer for the AI that keeps me out of trouble, although my filter right now is keeping me out of trouble. And when you go to the front page of ohmTown, if my DNS didn't crash tonight, there, you get a whole new set of articles pretty much all the time. Just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Information overload managed. It's kind of like Harry Potter and the data analytics. Worst chapter of the books ever. You want to say bye to everybody?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Be sure to follow, and we will see you tomorrow night.
That's right. Follow us here on Twitch. Like and subscribe and ring the bell and download the podcast and hang out over in Discord. And I thought I had started up a TikTok, but I never go to TikTok. Anyway, stay awesome, everybody. See you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. Oh, but I'll probably be streaming much of tomorrow. Cheers, y'all.